Last summer, I decided to help my grandfather on his farm. I had just graduated from college and thought it would be a nice break before starting my job hunt. The farm felt familiar. I had spent many summers there as a kid, playing in the wheat fields and hanging out with my grandfather. One evening, feeling bored, I decided to take a walk down the dirt road. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the land. I wandered near the edge of the woods when I spotted something unusual. A black horse was grazing there, its coat shiny in the fading light. It didn't belong to my grandfather, and I figured it was just a stray. Over the next few days, I saw the horse again. It showed up every evening at the same spot, waiting and watching. When our eyes met, I felt a strange pull, like it was trying to tell me something. I wasn't sure what it was, but curiosity got the better of me. The next night, I approached the horse slowly. My heart raced. As I got closer, just a few feet away, it suddenly disappeared. One moment it was there, the next it was gone, like smoke in the air. I blinked in confusion, feeling the chill grip me. I stood there staring at the empty space, wondering if I had imagined everything. The next morning, I told my grandfather about the horse. He stiffened a bit and looked uneasy. "There have been stories about this land," he said quietly. I wanted to ask him to elaborate, but he quickly changed the subject. That look on his face worried me. Days passed, and I kept returning to the spot, hoping the horse would come back. Every time I felt its gaze piercing through the trees. I whispered, asking the horse why it was showing up, what it wanted from me. Was I losing my mind? Did it have something to do with my grandfather's past? I remembered the stories I heard as a child about spirits lurking around, but I had always dismissed those as just tales. Then one evening, the horse appeared again. It was so close I thought I could touch it. I reached out a hand, but as I stepped forward, it vanished just like before. My heart dropped, my hand shook, and my throat felt dry. I turned around, confused. My grandfather watched me from the porch, looking pale and worried. I glanced back at the woods. That's when I heard a whisper. It was soft, barely there, but I felt something behind me. I turned, but there was nothing there, just a breath of wind. I felt a weight in the air, like I was being watched. I didn't know what to think anymore. Was this real, or was I imagining all of it? My heart raced as I stood there frozen. I felt something waiting for me in the shadows, something I couldn't quite understand. I was scared, but I also couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to know more. The next morning, I walked out to the barn, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling from the night before. I needed to focus on my work, but my mind kept drifting back to the horse. It had felt so real, so significant.
Was it trying to send me a message? My grandfather was already at the barn, fixing a fence post. He sensed my distraction and looked up. "Everything all right?" he asked, concern flickering in his eyes. I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted to know what stories he hadn't shared, but I held back. Instead, I nodded and grabbed a hammer. We worked in silence, but the air felt charged, thick with unspoken words. I could almost hear the secrets buzzing around us. After an hour or so, I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to ask about the woods. "Grandpa, do we have any history with them?" I began cautiously. "Like, strange things?" He paused, staring into the distance. "Some places," he said slowly, "hold memories that aren't meant to be disturbed." That only deepened my curiosity. I took a lunch break, but I couldn't stop myself from glancing at the forest. It loomed there, dark and inviting. After eating, I went for an afternoon walk, drawn back to that same spot. When I arrived, my heart sank. The brush was disturbed. There were signs of recent hoofprints in the mud. It was impossible. I hadn't seen any horses around. I knelt down, my fingers brushing the prints. They were deep, like the horse had been here, lingering. In that moment, a branch snapped in the trees behind me. I jerked around, but no one was there. Just the wind rustling through the leaves, whistling an eerie tune. I felt the hairs on my neck stand on end. Something told me I was not alone. With a deep breath, I called out, "Is anyone there?" My voice felt small in the vastness. Silence answered me. I took a few cautious steps forward, peering deeper into the woods. That's when I saw it again, the black horse, standing just a few feet beyond the tree line. My heart raced. I took a tentative step toward it, but it backed away, always keeping a distance. "Wait," I pleaded, feeling ridiculous talking to a horse. But it turned, its eyes meeting mine. There was an intensity in its gaze. It felt like it was trying to communicate something vital. Then, without warning, the ground beneath my feet shifted. I stumbled back, nearly falling. Shaking off the shock, I looked around.
The horse watched me, unmoving, its expression unnerving. Suddenly, I heard another whisper, clearer this time. "Find me," it urged, almost like a command. I couldn't hardly breathe. I didn't understand. I felt compelled to follow that voice, to understand. But I hesitated, a voice in my head warning me about the stories my grandfather had told, the memories that shouldn't be disturbed. I glanced back toward the safety of the farm, then back at the woods. That horse was waiting, and so was the mystery. I took a deep breath and stepped forward again, feeling the weight of the past pressing down. That's when the whisper echoed again, louder, and the world around me started to fade. Everything went dark. I woke up on the forest floor, disoriented and cold.
The air smelled damp, rich with the earthy scent of moss and fallen leaves. Confused, I pushed myself up, heart pounding as I glanced around. The trees towered above me, their trunks thick and gnarled, like ancient sentinels guarding secrets. What just happened? I remembered the horse, the whisper, and then nothing. Had I fallen asleep? I rubbed my arms, trying to ward off the chill creeping in. Without thinking, I got to my feet and looked around. The path I had been on was now strangely obscured by thick brush. It felt like the forest was shifting, almost alive. I took a hesitant step forward, and that's when I noticed the hoof prints again, but they now seemed to lead deeper into the woods, almost beckoning. My instinct screamed at me to go back, but the need to understand pushed me forward. I had come too far to turn back now. I followed the prints, each step heavy with uncertainty. With each crack of a twig underfoot, I felt like I was drawing closer to something, or someone. The trees grew denser, and the light faded. A low rustling nearby made my heart race. I stopped. My breath hitched in my throat. It wasn't just the wind anymore. Something was moving among the branches. I took a careful step backward, but then I saw it again, the black horse, now just a few paces away, watching me with those piercing eyes that seemed to mirror my apprehension. "Please," I breathed, feeling foolish but desperate. "What do you want?" It stamped its hoof, the sound echoing in the stillness. Then, like it had a mind of its own, the horse turned and trotted deeper into the woods. I hesitated, caught between fear and curiosity. I knew I shouldn't follow. I remembered my grandfather's warning about disturbing memories, but something about that horse pulled me in, like a magnet. I found myself moving before my brain could catch up, heart racing as I chased after it. The forest twisted and turned, branches snagging at my clothes as I stumbled through. I could barely see in the dim light, but I maintained focus on that dark figure darting ahead. Then the horse stopped and turned, staring at me over its shoulder, as if waiting. Just then, I heard a new sound, a low, growling noise that echoed through the trees, sending chills through my spine. It didn't feel like the wind anymore. I froze, glancing around, suddenly aware of how silent everything had become. What was watching me? I scanned the shadows, feeling my pulse quicken as panic surged. The horse seemed unfazed, but something dark shifted behind it, far in the underbrush. I felt the urge to retreat, to run, but the horse tossed its head, almost as if it understood my fear and sought to reassure me. Then it happened. A flash of pale light illuminated a nearby clearing, revealing a stone marker partially overgrown with ivy. My breath caught in my throat. I recognized it. I had seen a photo of it in my grandfather's old scrapbook, a monument to someone who vanished in these very woods long ago. Suddenly, the images in the water shifted to show my grandfather, a young man in those woods, looking lost and searching. My breath hitched. Was this a warning or a plea for help? Those thoughts collided in my mind as I felt the ground tremble beneath me. The shadow behind the horse deepened, morphing into something monstrous. That's when I realized the memories weren't just for me. They were meant to be uncovered. I had to save him. But as the shadows loomed closer, I felt the grip of fear tightening around my heart. My next move would determine not just my fate, but those who came before me. The shadows closed in, their presence thickening like a dark fog. I felt a flicker of panic rise within me. I had to act before whatever was lurking emerged from the depths of the darkness. I turned to the horse, desperate for guidance. "Help me," I whispered, my voice trembling. The horse stepped nearer, its warm breath brushing my arm. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. The growl reverberated around us, blending with the rustling leaves. It was now or never. "Stay close," I murmured to the horse. With a final, determined glance at the pool, I sprinted toward the trees, my heart racing.
The moonlight filtered through the canopy above, revealing a narrow path. I gripped the reins tightly, urging the horse to follow. We plunged deeper into the forest. Every sound felt amplified, the snapping of twigs, the rustling of leaves. Behind us, the growling grew louder. Whatever creature was pursuing us was relentless. I could feel its breath hot on my back, a primal urgency driving me forward. Suddenly, I stumbled upon a small clearing, moonlight spilling down like a spotlight. I glanced around, searching for something, anything to help us. That's when I saw it, a pile of stones, stacked haphazardly. Memories of stories my grandfather told me flitted through my mind, a hidden portal or an ancient offering site. I didn't have time to dwell on it. "Here," I shouted, signaling the horse. We rushed toward the stones, a flicker of hope igniting within me. I dropped the reins and began to rearrange the rocks, my hands trembling but moving with purpose. My breath came in short gasps as the growling escalated, a chilling reminder that I was not safe yet. Just as I placed the last stone, the growl shifted. It morphed into a chilling snarl, echoing around us. I spun around, and my heart dropped. Emerging from the shadows was a massive creature, its eyes glinting with predatory intent. I stumbled back, fear gripping me. The horse nudged me forward, urging me to stand my ground. "We can't run," I shouted, although all I wanted to do was flee. Then, in that moment of despair, something extraordinary happened. The air grew thick with energy, and the stones I'd moved began to glow faintly. I felt a pulse beneath my fingertips, a warmth spreading through me. Was this the magic of my ancestors reaching out to protect me?
The creature snarled again, but the light from the stones expanded, illuminating the clearing. I could see it now, the jagged teeth and the heavy muscles, but something about the glow seemed to confuse it. Its growl faltered, a flicker of uncertainty crossing its face. I realized then, the light was not only for protection, but a beacon. It linked me with the past, with my grandfather, and the souls reflected in that pool. "I won't let you take me," I shouted, defiance rising within me. But as I stood there, rooted in both fear and hope, I noticed something glistening in the shadows behind the creature. A familiar face flashed before me, my grandfather's smile fading into a look of worry. The shadows twisted again, warping reality around us. "Save him," a voice echoed from the depths of the stones, sending chills up my spine. It was a plea, urgent and desperate. Just then, everything went dark. I opened my eyes to a different kind of darkness. It felt heavy, suffocating. Panic surged, and I tried to push through it. Then, light flickered back, gradually revealing the clearing again, though now the air felt electric. I was no longer standing among the stones. Instead, I was lying on the cold ground, my body aching. "Horse?" I croaked, squinting to see if my companion was still near. Relief washed over me as I spotted its silhouette by the edge of the clearing, watching cautiously. I pushed myself up and tried to shake off the lingering fog of confusion. What had just happened? But before I could gather my thoughts, a flash caught my eye, and I turned. The creature was still here, looming at the threshold of obscured shadows. Its gaze pierced through the darkness, and I could sense the hunger in its intent. The stones still glowed, but the energy was fading, their light flickering like a candle on the verge of being extinguished. I scrambled to my feet, adrenaline surging. The chance to protect myself was slipping away. "Come on!" I shouted at the horse, grateful it remained close. I rushed back to the stones, desperate to restore the light. I felt an urgency in my bones. I had to hold back the creature, but how? As I reached the pile, something unexpected happened. A warm voice echoed in my mind, clear as day. "Remember," it whispered. I hesitated, recalling my grandfather's stories about the bond between horse and rider, the importance of trust. Could it be that simple? I turned to the horse, its eyes shimmering with intelligence. "Trust me," I said, and I didn't want to doubt it. "We have to connect." I reached for the reins again, intending to guide it closer to the stones. If the glow amplified with our bond, maybe we could summon a stronger force. But the growl of the creature grew louder, vibrating in the air around me. Desperation clawed at my chest. I needed to focus. The memories of my grandfather poured back like a flood. Rituals, chants, protection. He spoke of the strength in family, the strength in unity.
I took a deep breath and began to chant the words I barely remembered. Luz de mis ancestros, dame fuerza. Light of my ancestors, give me strength. I repeated it louder each time, pouring everything I felt into the rhythm of the chant. The stones responded, pulsing with renewed energy, lighting up the space. The creature hesitated, tilting its head as if puzzled by the sudden illumination, casting a barrier around me. A shift in power. I felt my heart race. This was working. "Come on, come closer," I urged the horse, pulling it toward the stones. I needed it beside me, a companion joining forces in our desperate stand. Just as the horse stepped into the glow, the creature snarled loudly, shaking the ground beneath us. I could barely think. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted from the stones, enveloping us both. But then, silence. No growl, no noise at all. My heart was pounding as I squinted into the brightness. Something shifted within the glow, a new figure appearing. My breath caught in my throat. "Help has come," the figure said, voice echoing, but the words hung heavy in the air. Who was this, and why did they seem to know me? The light dimmed slightly, revealing a shadowy outline I recognized. My grandfather? It felt impossible, and yet... "Don't lose hope," the figure urged, the edges of their form flickering like the remnants of a fading dream. But as the intense energy began to wane, I felt an icy breath stroke my neck, and panic twisted in my gut. Was the creature still there, or was the threat transforming into something worse? I stood frozen, more afraid than ever. The figure of my grandfather flickered like a dying light bulb, its glow dimming. Just as he started to fade completely, I felt the ground shift under me, a low rumble echoing through the clearing. "Grandfather," I called, reaching out, but it was too late. He was gone, swallowed by the darkness that crept closer, slithering towards me. My heart raced as the shadows around me thickened, the creature's growls returning like a haunting echo, vibrating through the ground. I could sense its presence, more intense and menacing than before. The horse snorted, nudging me as if sensing my rising panic. I turned to it, swallowing my fear. This creature was much more than just a nightmare. I could see that now, and it seemed to take form from the darkness itself, absorbing every ounce of light and hope around us. "Stay close," I whispered, hoping the horse understood. I had to figure out a plan fast. The stones, they had given me some protection, but their power was wavering. "Lose the mis ancestros," I murmured again, but my voice felt weak against the onslaught of shadows. The creature's growl now felt like thunder, shaking the very air around me. Suddenly, something caught my attention in the periphery of my vision. A shimmering shadow darted on the edge of the clearing. I squinted, uncertain of what I was seeing. A flash of silver. No, it was too quick. My breath hitched.
It was moving toward the stones, almost as if it was trying to reach them before the light faded. "Hey!" I shouted, instinct kicking in. "Over here!" But it kept snaking toward the stones. I turned back to the horse and felt the heat of determination rise within me. "We can't just stand here. We have to stop it." As if spurred by my urgency, the horse whinnied, its stance tense and ready. I glanced once more at the stones, now barely aglow, and back to the shimmer approaching them. "Help me, horse. We need to protect what we can." I took a deep breath and broke into a run towards the glimmering shape, frantically waving my arms to grab its attention. The air crackled with tension as I battled the feeling of dread building inside me. The creature must have sensed my movement, because its growl morphed into a shriek that felt like icy fingers drawing nearer. The shimmering shadow paused, revealing itself as a small silver foal, ethereal and fragile. It looked lost and frightened, but it also radiated an energy that felt familiar. It was a connection, a message. I had to protect it, whatever it was. "Come here!" I yelled, clawing at the air in a desperate attempt to coax the foal closer. But before it could take another step, the creature lunged from the shadows, its massive form lunging toward the stones, teeth bared. Then everything went
dark. A realization hit me like a lightning bolt. The only way to push back the creature was by embracing my bond with the horse and the foal. I couldn't let hope slip away. "Let's do this together," I shouted, the words erupting with raw emotion as I gripped the horse's reins tightly. The energy surged as we moved in sync, a force combining our will against the dark presence. The foal whinnied softly, a sound of encouragement. I threw my heart into chanting once more, this time enveloping all three of us in unity. "Luz de mis ancestros, dame fuerza." But would it be enough? The darkness pulled away as the chant echoed through the clearing, illuminating the shadows just enough for me to see. The foal stood at my side, its silver coat glinting. The sensation of connection surged between us, like we were tethered by an invisible thread. I felt my fear begin to melt away. But the creature didn't relent. Its form was massive and menacing, a swirling mass of shadow and teeth that lunged at us without warning. I stumbled backward, pulling the horse alongside me, heart pounding like a drum. "Don't let it break us apart," I shouted, feeling desperate. The hooves of the horse dug into the dirt, a reminder that I wasn't alone. The foal stepped forward, its eyes shimmering with determination. It lifted its head, letting out a high-pitched whinny that echoed through the woods, cutting through the thick atmosphere like glass. It was a call for unity. "Stick together," I yelled again, my voice rising above the creature's growl. I could barely think straight, but instinct kicked in. The stones. I had to protect them.
They were the only hope against the darkness. With the horse and the foal at my side, I dove toward the stones that flickered weakly at the edge of the clearing. My feet pounded against the ground, the earth trembling as the creature advanced. I could see its eyes, glowing like coals in the night, tracking my every movement. Something inside me ignited. I had power. Our union was strength. "Luz de mis ancestros!" I shouted once more, driving the words through the fear and uncertainty. The stones pulsed in response. Light bloomed outward, absorbing the creeping shadows. The creature hesitated, snarling as the light pushed against it. But it wasn't fully deterred. I could see it drawing closer, the darkness swirling around like a storm. Would the light hold? "Focus!" I commanded, turning to the foal. "We need to push back!" I felt a spark of magic rise from within me as I watched the foal begin to prance, its tiny hooves stirring energy in the air. The horse stamped, mirroring the foal's rhythm, and together we formed a triangle, a bond between light and life. The growl intensified, rumbling through the clearing as the creature lunged again. Just as it reached the edge of the stones, I extended my hand, feeling every ounce of energy channeling through me. "Now!" I called out, and we surged forward together. In that moment, the light erupted. A burst of energy radiated from the stones, enveloping us in warmth. The shadows screamed. The creature recoiled, its form blurring as waves of power collided with its dark essence. Then, in the chaos, something peculiar happened. I caught a glimpse of an ancient symbol beneath the surface of the foal's coat, shimmering like the stars. A brand that looked so familiar, it felt like a part of my own history. The moment distracted me just enough. The next thing I knew, a shadow latched onto my ankle, sharp and cold. Panic surged anew as I struggled to break free. "Help!" I shouted, feeling the bonds of darkness tightening around me. I prayed the foal and the horse would react in time, but I also realized, was this connection stronger than any fear? I had to find out. That's when I heard the stones crack. The crackling sounds from the stones jolted me back to reality. I could feel the weight of darkness tightening around my ankle, pulling me down into the ground. I struggled to break free, but it felt like I was stuck in thick mud. "Come on!" I yelled, hoping my voice would reach the foal. I felt its presence beside me, but panic made it harder to focus. I couldn't let the shadows win. They couldn't sever the bond we had. The foal pranced in a frantic dance, its steps sending ripples of light through the surrounding shadows. The horse joined in, its massive form leaping forward as if it sensed my distress. "Together!" I shouted, drawing strength from their bravery. With a burst of energy, the foal and the horse charged at the darkness, their hoofs striking the ground in unison. Light shot from the stones, brightening the clearing and pushing against the creature that lurked nearby. I felt the shadow's grip loosen, just a little.
I pulled my foot out of the cold and struggled to get back on my feet. That's when I saw a flash of white. The foal had taken the lead, racing toward the heart of the darkness. "No, don't!" I yelled, but it was too late. The creature lunged again, mouth wide, teeth gleaming like daggers. The foal stopped. It turned, eyes wide, with an urgency I had never seen before. It lifted its front legs, pawing at the air, almost like a warning. The horse joined it, standing firm by my side, as if forming a protective wall. Then I realized the foal was not running away. It was trying to draw the creature in. Wait! I thought I understood. Maybe it was more than just courage. Maybe it was about sacrifice and connection. "Stay close," I shouted as I rushed towards them. The light from the stones flickered again, but this time it was different, like it was responding to the foal's bravery. I could feel my own energy blending with theirs. Just as the creature lunged again, the foal unleashed a blinding light, so bright that it sliced through the darkness, illuminating everything. I felt the shield of warmth enveloping me, igniting a fire of hope within. But that's when I noticed it. A crack appeared between the stones, not just in the surface, but something deeper, a rift of energy. The air buzzed with magic, and I could hear whispers, almost like forgotten voices carried by the wind. "What is happening?" I murmured, taking a step closer. The ground trembled, and the light faltered for a moment. "Luz de mis ancestros," I shouted instinctively, hoping to draw power from the stones, the very heritage that tied me to my past. The energy surged, causing the crack to widen, revealing swirling colors and shapes within. "Don't look away," I instructed the foal and the horse, terrified of what might happen if we lost our focus. Together, we were fighting against not just the creature, but also the unknown forces that were hiding within the earth. But then, without warning, the darkness surged, dominating the light and reducing it to flickering embers. I felt my heart drop as shadows writhed around us. "Stand firm," I yelled, but panic flared again. If the light faded now, would we be lost? Just then, I caught a glimpse in the corner of my eye. The ancient symbol from the foal's coat began to shine brighter, pulsing in rhythm with the stones. "That's it," I gasped. The shadows lunged again. I dug my heels into the ground, ready for the next wave. The bond we shared would have to be enough to face whatever came next. "Together," I screamed, feeling the energy ignite once more. But as the darkness fell upon us, I realized there was more at stake than just our survival. Something was stirring in the heart of the shadows. "What are you?" I whispered, heart racing. The stones vibrated ominously beneath my feet.
Then everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on solid ground, but felt utterly disoriented. The cool breeze danced across my skin, but the weight of an unseen presence loomed near. I blinked rapidly, trying to piece together what had just happened. The memories of the darkness, clawing, screaming, and the weight of anticipation flooded back, but they faded like smoke under the sun. I pushed myself up and looked around. The forest felt different now, quieter. The heavy shadows felt less tangible than before. There was no growl, no flashes of danger, just the soft rustle of leaves overhead. I could almost feel the whisper of the trees, inviting and welcoming. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a warm golden hue across everything. But where were the horse and foal? Panic spiked through me. Had I lost them in the chaos? I stumbled to my feet, heart racing. The clearing appeared empty, yet a familiar sense of connection lingered in the air, thick like the remnants of a storm. "Hello?" I called out, my voice sounding fragile in the vastness. Silence answered me, but it felt different this time, calm, almost reassuring. I turned in circles, searching the outskirts of the clearing. And then I saw them, both the horse and the small foal, standing nearby, their forms calm and unyielding against the backdrop of twilight. With a rush of relief, I walked toward them. The horse's eyes glimmered in the fading light, and the foal stood with a quiet dignity I hadn't noticed before. It was as if they had both been waiting, sensing that something had shifted since the darkness receded. "What happened?" I whispered, sharing my questions with the silence.
I felt as if the air vibrated with unspoken answers, but clarity eluded me. The horse nickered softly, as if trying to offer comfort, and I felt a surge of connection wash over me again. There was something powerful in this stillness, as if the forest was honoring a truce. But deep down, ambiguity nagged at me. I glanced at the stones lying scattered on the ground, remnants of our sanctuary against whatever still lurked in the depths. Had we truly vanquished the creature, or had it retreated, temporarily beaten, but always waiting for another chance? I guess we can never know, I murmured to myself. I felt the foal nudge against me, seeking reassurance. In that moment I understood. There would always be questions, mysteries surrounding us, perhaps even deeper than anything encountered in the woods. The past had woven its thread through my life, and now it tied me to something greater, beyond just the stories shared with my grandfather. My pulse slowed as I glanced out towards the setting sun, the world wrapped in shades of orange and purple. I turned back to my companions, feeling a strange mix of gratitude and regret. My fingers brushed the foal's coat and the horse's side, savoring every bit of the bond we shared.
"I have to get back," I said softly, knowing that I needed to return to my life outside this forest. But my heart clenched, knowing I might leave unanswered questions behind. Would my grandfather understand the depths of what I'd discovered? And could I ever shake the feeling that the woods were still hiding memories that yearned to be uncovered? "Your journey isn't over," whispered an echo in my mind, but I couldn't tell if it was spirit or imagination. Questions lingered like the shadows that brushed just beyond the trees, but they wouldn't devour me. I took a deep breath, ready to step back into the world outside, accompanied by the knowledge that something extraordinary had woven its way into my being. I looked one last time at the forest and the silent promise it held, then turned toward the path back to my grandfather's farm. I walked forward, the hooves of the horse and the foal echoing softly behind me, a reminder that even as questions remained, hope could guide the way.